What's up, everyone? Aaron Negler here with your Packers Daily Chat at Cheesehead TV, coming to you live wherever you are on the internet. That's where we want to be. We're devoted to you, Green Bay Packers fans worldwide, on a special off-season Friday edition. Figured it'd be a good idea, seeing as the Packers are wrapping up OTAs and minicamp, and they are indeed headed for summer break. Thought we'd have a little gab session, see what's on the minds of Packers fans everywhere. As the headline this morning, off of Mike Silver, who has a piece coming out for NFL Network next week, but he had an interview on NFL Network where he quoted Aaron Rodgers talking about the lack of freedom at the line of scrimmage in Matt LaFleur's offense and how he felt probably not the best idea to cage him up when it comes to being able to make adjustments at the line. So it'll be interesting, something to track as things move along in Green Bay with Matt LaFleur and his offense. But look, as I mentioned on Twitter, this is a good thing. You want these guys to have a little creative friction between the two of them. Same thing happened with Favre and McCarthy before McCarthy helped turn Favre around. If this helps produce anything akin to that kind of resurgence for Rodgers, I'm here for it. And it's funny to watch the rest of NFL fandom get all giddy with the idea that there's friction or there's a problem in Green Bay. You can safely ignore all that nonsense. This is exactly where they should be. It's exactly where Rodgers should be. It's all headed in the right direction. That's what I'm here to tell you, folks. What's up, Drew? How are you? Thanks, everybody, jumping in the chat here. Always good to see everybody. Good afternoon, Nags. Ready for football season? I am too. As I said the other day, can we please just, simulate to end on summer now, please? Thanks. Question about Rodgers. Do you think he has an internal struggle daily to extend plays, to force things, or just play it safe to reduce the risk of injury? Well, he's mentioned this a couple of times. He's been asked about it since he went down 2 years ago. Are you going to change the way you play? And the answer is always a steadfast no. I do think he, as time goes on, will have to come to grips with the fact that he is not the guy he was even 5 years ago, especially when it comes to getting outside the pocket and being able to get the corner on outside linebackers or even athletic defensive ends who we saw chase him down last year. Now, of course, he was on a bum leg, but as he gets older, that part of his game will have to be curtailed. Now, you don't have to look much further than, say, John Elway, who was in a very similar offense, in Mike Shanahan's offense at the end of his career, for a quarterback who maintained his athleticism and his elusiveness and his outside-the-pocket ability. But, it's clearly not going to ever be back to where it was when he was a younger man. But it can still be a weapon in his arsenal. Evidenced in John's game in the Super Bowl and the helicopter play where, that's a big play made outside the pocket, mobility-wise. Now, obviously, you don't want that week in and week out during the regular season. But, it's the type of thing that the quarterback can still do at an advanced age. And Rodgers will undoubtedly continue to maintain that part of his game. He's just got to be smart about it. And I think as he gets older and Matt LaFleur helps him out with a running game that actually produces and gets him in advantageous situations, I'm sure that will all come. Kenny, does learning the new offense together give the young wide receivers a better chance to get on the same page with Rodgers? Will it help their chemistry? I actually think it will a little bit. I don't think it's going to be some magic elixir that helps them immediately week one all be, bunch of pistons firing and the offense just runs smoothly. But we need moments like we had the other day where Geronimo Allison apparently made the wrong adjustment or ran the wrong route in the red zone, and Rodgers, very demonstratively let him hear about it afterwards. There are going to be those moments, and you want those now so that when you do get to the regular season, hopefully all of that stuff that's happened, all the wear and tear, so to speak, produces something closer to a cohesive unit. Again, I think it will take a good part of the first part of the season for them to get all pistons firing, but you'd like it now rather than later. How would you describe Adams' excitement about LaFleur's offense? Have we not seen the best from 17? Well, yes and no. I think there's still places he can go, ceiling he can reach as far as athletically, if not production-wise. But it is noticeable how excited he is about what LaFleur has brought to Green Bay. I would tend to think that we will see the ball spread out a little bit more. So perhaps the production won't be quite what it was last year. I mean, last year he came close to breaking Sterling Sharp's record, and he probably would have if he had remained healthy. But I think it's great that he's excited. I think he has mentioned continuing to expand his release package, which is a scary thing for any defensive back set to face him this year. But I don't think we're going to see it suddenly go to another level. I think last year you saw what he's capable of, and it'll be interesting to see how LaFleur utilizes that within his system. Andy, I know where B.J. Raji could find some tickets, if the Packers, for whatever reason, weren't able to help him out, which I'm sure they could. But he or anyone else can go to cheeseheadtv.com and head over to Ticket King. Ticket King can help you. There's a link right there at cheeseheadtv.com. They've been around since 1992. They're located right across from Lambeau Field, but you can find them on the internet if you want to buy tickets for games at Lambeau, on the road, any game having to do with the Green Bay Packers. Ticket King, they got you covered. Check them out. How's everyone doing on this Friday? I like Andy just asking the chat, and I'm just going to call it out here. Because hell, it's Friday, people, and it's a beautiful day. At least it is in New York City. So I'm feeling good. Do you think the Packers can win another Super Bowl before Aaron Rodgers retires? Yes. Do you feel that the Packers fan base is the best among all professional sport, soccer included? The best? What are the criteria that we're using here? Currently, at the moment, there is a bunch of entitled town nonsense going on in Green Bay. But I think that's, somewhat of a product of a large vocal portion of the fan base that is grown up with two superstar quarterbacks and the internet, so they don't know much of anything else. But they're one of the best. I could never say they're the best because there are a lot of contenders. But they are absolutely in the running. There's no doubt about that. Aaron, do you plan to pay the people in the comments who ask about Ticket King? No, which is the best part. I love it. It's just a little community looking to help me out. Oh, what kind of beer are we having today, Nagler? Joseph, I'll tell you what. Whoever wants to sign the check and have me drink their beer here on the old program, that's the beer I'll be drinking. How has Brown looked? Matt, I haven't heard a thing about him. Any of the camp reports that have come out of Green Bay, all's quiet on the Brown front. I am very anxious to get to Green Bay for training camp and take a look, especially when the pads come on. Nags, do you believe Josh Jones will be on the 53 come week 1? No, I do not. I will be very surprised if the Packers don't move on. And I understand the case for keeping him and for saying, look, you're under contract, we're going to use you. But given his attitude and given Gutekunst's past actions when it comes to moving on from guys who are, I won't say poisoning the locker room because I think that's a bit strong, but who clearly are not on board with what's going on in Green Bay, I just can't imagine he invites that back into the locker room for training camp. But we'll see. Nagler's never right. Let's head over to Twitter, see what's going on the old tweet machine. Starting with Tyler, who says, since it's been so long in Green Bay, what can we expect to see at an NFL joint practice? How much of the playbook is revealed? What kind of drills do they run? Well, a lot of it is very similar to any kind of practice you'll see in Green Bay. They'll split up the squads, have offense, defense going against each other. Some of it was going to remain to be seen to see how LaFleur wants to structure it with O'Brien. Those two coaching staffs will coordinate. you'll see stuff where, okay, we want to work on this. We want to work on blitz period. Our guys need help, not help, but they need work on protection. So we're gonna run heavy pressure period, etc. Like that's the kind of stuff they'll talk about. As far as the drills, it'll be very similar to what you've seen if you've been to Nitschke Field for any training camp practices. Lots of similar stuff. But as far as like the makeup of it and how they'll structure it, that's really down to LaFleur and O'Brien, and I'm anxious to see how it plays out. It's funny, I mean, we haven't seen this in Green Bay, as you mentioned, since Mike Sherman. They had the Buffalo Bills in town, so I'm anxious to see, no doubt. Rodgers doesn't seem too thrilled with not being able to change plays at the line of scrimmage. Come week 1, how much do you expect him to be able to do so? Really good question. It's funny because LaFleur has been asked directly about this, as far as I can remember this offseason, one time, where he mentioned, in his offense, it has traditionally been pretty, not locked up, but it's been pretty delineated. Like, you may have a check with me or you may have a either or, a 50-50 call, but you want to, as much as you can, stick with the call. Now, and then he did go on to say, but if you see we're in something bad, yeah, please, by all means, save us. And that was the quote that I found interesting. So I think there will be undoubtedly discussion about it between LaFleur and his quarterback, and I do not doubt for a second that he will acquiesce somewhat to Aaron Rodgers. But I think he'll also point to Matt Ryan's MVP season and say, look, this is the ceiling here. This is the kind of thing we can do in this offense if, you just let it happen. And that's, I don't think he's ever going to put his foot down or be give him any kind of grief about it. I don't think it's going to be any kind of a butting of heads, etc. But I do think he will try to impart to Aaron the success of the offense and show him why and how it works. And I do not doubt for a second, though, Rodgers will be given more leeway than probably any other quarterback has been given in any of the offense, whether it's Shanahan, McVay, etc. Any of the places they've been and run it, I think Aaron will probably have a little bit more control than any other quarterback that's run this system. What else we got? Any validity to the Rob Demovsky report that 12 was down on one knee in pain at last practice? Yeah, there's validity to it because it happened. There was video of it, which blew my mind. Rob Demovsky posting practice video. Now, the stipulations the Packers make when you're taking video from practice is you can't post it on social media. But Rob posted it on ESPN.com. But then it expired because you're only allowed to have it up for a certain amount of time. But there was video. I did see it. Aaron was certainly on a knee, did certainly, like, after a rollout and a flip of the wrist on a outside the pocket pass, he did certainly look to be in a bit of discomfort. So it's he's getting older, man, Getting old sucks. No doubt about it. Which leads us to Josh's question. Does 12's discomfort during practice change any of Gutekunst's preparations for Kaiser and Boyle, or even his outlook for the 2020 draft? Our QB1 has been getting injured earlier and earlier each season since 2017. Well, look, let's not make a mountain out of a molehill. He had a little. I mean, he's an older player. These things happen. I'm not going to freak out about it. Does Gutekunst adjust anything because of it? Absolutely not. Because of a tweak in a practice? No. Now, if this becomes a recurring thing, then we'll revisit. But right now, no, it's nothing to freak out about. Let's head back over to the chat. Andy, where's Michael Cohen going? Not the lawyer dude, the good one. I know where Michael is going, but I'm going to let him tell the world where it is. I will only say I greatly appreciated his mentioning my name in his podcast. We had a ball working together. He's a really good dude, great soccer fan. We always had that in common. But more than anything, I think Packers fans are really the losers here because Michael was an excellent reporter who asked intelligent, probing questions that elicited really good answers from the podium. got really good stuff in the locker room. And his not being there is, it's going to suck, frankly. So I wish him all the best at his next stop. And just want to thank him for being a great teammate when we worked together and for being a good friend. Howdy from Colorado. What's up, Oz? What was an underrated part of McCarthy's offense/teams that we might gonna miss, Bob? Bob, I'm not sure about the sentence structure there, but I understand what you're saying. It's a good question. I think Mike was always very good at attacking a problem, maybe sometimes going overboard, but identifying a problem in the offseason and like really trying to get to the root of what was going on and not being afraid to really kind of tear things up. And I think the biggest example of that was when he changed the practice structure in 2014. And it really helped. Obviously, injuries still continue to happen, and that's football. But it's something that I don't think he was scared to look at every single nook and cranny of a problem. And obviously, I think LaFleur could be the same way, but until we see evidence of it, that's something that I appreciated about Mike that I think not a lot of people did. So we'll see how it plays out. LaFleur had RG3 and Mariota, 2 QBs with ability to run. Is it possible to see Rodgers running some read options? Dan, I think if he was younger, you might see a little bit more of it. Given Rodgers' advancing age, and let's put us, not to put too fine a point on it, the fact that he's been hurt this last couple of years, I'll be surprised if they used too much of it. Now, I do think they will sprinkle it in. I do think they will use it when they think it's advantageous. If they think they see something in the opposing defense that week, they think they can take advantage of it. Maybe there's a defensive end or an outside linebacker who has a bad habit of crashing down, of not playing, not honoring the keep, on a read option. Things of that nature. I think if they find that, if they see that on tape, I don't think they'll be scared to go after it. But I don't think it's going to be something they feature too heavily. Simply because you don't want Aaron taking shots. You gotta keep him upright. You gotta keep him healthy. And handing him the ball and saying, go do a bunch of read option is probably not the best way to go about that. How do you see Gary being used his first year in this defense? Good question, Weston. I think, and I've mentioned this before, I think we're going to see him standing up on early downs, and you're going to see him probably kick inside a lot on obvious passing situations. Now, I don't think it's going to be 100% one way or the other, but I do think he will be on first down, at least first and second down, 7+. You'll probably see him on the outside, but then when it's third down, put his hand in the dirt, kick him inside, let him work against some those centers and guards with his quickness and athleticism. And some of this might be mixing and matching depending on not only the opponent, but it might be where he shows wherever his strengths and weaknesses are. Maybe Pettin adjusts as the year goes on. But initially, I think that will be the plan. It'd be sweet if Graham bounced back with a 10 TD plus year. Graham, from your comment to football's life, I would love that. I was going back, I watched the Patriots game again, was it last night or 2 nights ago? It was last night. And that catch he had, the touchdown catch he had, was really impressive. Now Rodgers had lots of time to find him across the formation, but that's the kind of thing you'd like to see more of. And there's good coverage on that play. Rodgers just throws a really good ball and really nice catch from Graham. And man, you'd really like to see a whole lot more of that, because I'm with you. You got him. He was coming off a 10 TD year. You thought he would be featured heavily in the red zone, and that certainly didn't materialize last season. Who is better in your opinion, Craig Newsome or Doug Evans? Oh, I got to go with Craig Newsome. I love Doug. He's a great player. His play in that St. Louis game in '96 kind of helped not save their season, but it helped kind of propel it down the second half of the stretch of the year. But, man, Craig Newsome, he was outstanding. Do you think the preseason games against the Chiefs and Raiders will be handled different than usual? It seems like we wouldn't want to show our hand to a team we are going to face when it counts. Mike, not really. I mean, I get what you're saying, but ultimately, preseason games are so vanilla as it is. It's not like they were, okay, we're going to dial it down for preseason. Now we're really going to dial it down. It's still going to be base concepts and things that they would run against any team. In preseason, you're never really going to have anything close to game planning or trying out concepts against personnel that you might find later in the year. It's always going to be super vanilla. So, in regards to like, are there personnel combos or concepts that they may sprinkle throughout preseason that they want to use in the regular season? Maybe, but it certainly wouldn't happen in those two games. That's about as far as you can go. Oh, I don't know who this spam bot is, but they're about to go away. Look at that. Oh, yeah. There we go. See ya. Who is more valuable to our team, Mike Daniels or Brian Bulaga? Not from a positional standpoint, but from a talent standpoint. Ooh, John, that's a really good question. More valuable to the team, Mike Daniels or Brian Bulaga? At this point, as the roster is constructed, I'd probably say Brian Bulaga. I think Mike Daniels is a really great player, but if he were to be injured or to be taken away, you still got a number of guys that you can utilize along the defensive front. You take Brian Bulaga away, suddenly you've got either Billy Turner kicking out to right tackle, and who knows, stepping in at right guard, or you've got Jason Spriggs there, considering maybe if he's healthy and on the team. I'd much rather utilize and keep Brian Bulaga. That's just me. Who do you think is the best quarterback in the NFL? It's a very good question. I'm glad you asked that. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL. Do you rewatch games from previous seasons or mainly games from last season? Oh, that's a good question, Brett. I rewatch all sorts of games. Now, when the season ends, I always go back and watch the previous season at least 3 times. I'll watch the broadcast, I'll watch the cut-ups, and then I'll watch the coach's tape. And then after that, the off-season is pretty much a stretch of me just reading about games or hearing something or thinking about something and then going back and finding it. Or just, I want to go watch a game, so I'll go back and pick out some game. There's hardly any rhyme or reason to it. It's usually just kind of something I read, something I see on Twitter, someone references a game, and I'll go and watch it. But the first order of business is always to basically rewatch the season 3 times. That's what I do. And then I spend the rest of the summer just watching a ton of Packers stuff. And I do watch the last few seasons, games from the last few seasons over and over again. Next, what are your thoughts on MVS since he's quickly adjusting to Matt LaFleur's offense? Alex, yes, I saw Rob Demovsky's piece. I thought some really promising stuff in there. Anybody who's watched this chat for any length of time this offseason knows how I feel. When it comes to MVS, I think he's a star in the making. His ceiling is super high. And yeah, I think he's taken to LaFleur's offense so far. We'll see what happens. Pads come on. Other guys start to emerge. You never know. But to me, MVS is the guy to watch. I think, obviously, you've got Devontae. Teams have to roll coverage to him. If and when that happens, MVS in one-on-one situations, going to town. You heard it here first. Touchdown Jesus, under or over 7 touchdowns? Dan, give me the under on that. I know we're all very super excited because Aaron Rodgers talked up Kumaro the other day, but there's a lot of mouths to feed, and I can't imagine Kumaro ending up with 7 touchdowns in the season. Now, let's smash cut to December, and he's probably got 10 touchdowns, and we're all laughing about me. But for right now, give me the under. J.K. Scott's holding a factor in Crosby misses last year. Glenn, that's a good question. To quote Ron Zook, I'm no expert. I know Crosby has mentioned the hold and the operation at times throughout the years, but look, it's hard to put too much of it on the holder. I got to think some of that is on Crosby as well. But, could it be? Could it play a part? Absolutely. No question about it. But regardless, he's the holder. So Crosby's got to make it work. One thing I'm very excited about this season is the potential of balance. Defenses can't just run a hard cover 2 or cover 4 to try and take away Rodgers anymore. Lupo, that is the dream, right? And that is the absolute ideal. And it certainly seems from everything from LaFleur's talking up having balance, especially on first and second down, to the amount of reps they've given the running game in practice so far, at least in the public ones, the ones that the media has been allowed into, all signs point in that direction, and that's a great thing. However, my only caveat there is the NFL, the history of the NFL, is littered with coaches who talked about balance in May and June. And then come September, October, heading into November, balance went out the window. It's really easy to talk about balance when you're in shorts and t-shirts and helmets, and it's a whole other thing when you're slamming into a wall, or it feels like you're slamming into a wall in a mid-October game, and it's continually 2nd and 8 and 3rd and 9 because you can't run the football. We'll see. That's entirely up to LaFleur, and that's where, to me, it becomes fascinating. How much does he actually stick with it? And how much does that help Rodgers? It's a whole key to me. Does Banky secretly have a shrine to J.K. Scott in his basement? No, it's in his office. No, I'm kidding. Can't the same happen for the opposite? Injury, decline, etc.? What is the importance of signing a player when their rookie contract holds control for 2 more years other than wanting to get ahead in price in case of stock rising? Signing a player when their rookie contracts hold control 2 more years. Oh, I guess you're talking about Slime. Are you asking about Kenny Clark? Yes. Could the opposite happen? Injury, decline? Yes, absolutely it could. I think, this is my personal estimation, the reward of signing Clark early with 2 years of control far outweighs the risk of, could he decline? Could he be injured? Absolutely. Of course he could. It's football. But to my eyes, and I would suspect to the eyes of those in the personnel group at 1265 Lombardi, his trajectory, his projection, and this is the rant I went on during the draft, this is their job, to project guys where they're headed in their careers. My projection is he is a star in the making. People keep forgetting how young he is. Yes, they have 2 more years of control. That price tag is only going to go up if he fills the potential I think he has in him. So I would much rather take the chance of, yes, I'm going to sign him to a deal now, and it is going to be a lot of money, but in 2 years, it's going to be a steal. We've already seen that with Devontae, Bakhtiari. I think Lindsley's headed that way. I'd much rather go down that road than, okay, I'm not going to sign him. I've got him under 2 years of control. I got no problem. Then all of a sudden, we're heading into that final year, and he blows up this year, say has 15 sacks from the interior, and he's asking for Aaron Donald money. Now, I don't think he would ever get that, but I'd much rather, again, get him under a long-term deal now and have it be much more cap-friendly throughout the length of the deal rather than have to break the bank for the guy, as I suspect they would have to. That's just me. Again, that is just a personal philosophy, and that's not the only way to do it, but that's risk-reward, weighing those options. That's how I would go about it. Rodgers needs to stop getting himself hurt all the time. Caden, I couldn't agree more. It was funny because I was watching that Patriots game, and there's a play where he's rolling to his right, and he's just holding the ball forever, as he is wont to do, and he literally holds it till the last second when the backer is right on top of him. It's almost not exactly like the Barr play, but it's scarily similar. And he tosses it, and it's a complete throwaway. He doesn't even try to complete the pass. It's like he's just waiting for something to happen, someone to magically break free. There's an angle from behind him on the replay where you can see everyone's blanketed. Just throw it away, man. Get rid of the ball. But no, he holds it and he holds it and he holds. He's running. This guy's on him. Guy literally is touching him as he's tossing it, and then he's thrown to the ground. Well, dude, remember what happened the year before when you did that? I'm with you, man. It's got to be smarter. Got to be smarter. And that's on LaFleur. He's got to get him to do it. He's got to get him to protect himself that way. The onus is on him as the head coach to make that happen, to drill it into his head. Because I tell you what, if he continues to do that, he is going to get hurt again and again and again. Craig, it's funny you ask. I'll tell you what the Ticket King is all about. You can find it at cheeseheadtv.com. About halfway down the page, there's a link. It takes you to Ticket King. They've been around since 1992, and they've got all your Green Bay Packers ticket needs covered. Whether home or away. I mean, everyone loves to see the Packers in Lambeau, but you can see them anywhere. If you're in Dallas, go watch them take on the Cowboys. Ticket King's got you covered for any of the games. And if they go to the playoffs, they got those for you too. Ticket King. Check them out, cheeseheadtv.com. And with that said, I'm going to jump. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to your questions, but hell, you know what? It's the weekend and I got beer to drink. It's great to see you all. Thank you so much for participating. Please like, share, subscribe, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies. Whatever you do, though, don't tell Bears fans because they suck. So do the Bears. Please give to our Patreon. $5 a month supports everything we do. I mean, everything we do. We do so much. We got podcasts. We got a website. We got these chats. We got videos. We got everything you could ever want when it comes to covering the Green Bay Packers. $5 a month. And it gets you exclusive access to my podcast, Naglers Never Right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon.